Episode 15, My Ponderings on Artificial Intelligence.
Welcome to Thriving with Nature, a podcast that gives you the tools you need to live a modern lifestyle that helps regenerate our planet. And now your host, Hayley Weatherburn.
Hello, Thrivers. Welcome back. So excited to be here. So excited to have you. I've been looking recently at where you guys and gals are all listening from, and there's over 26 countries, and I'm just absolutely flabbergasted. So hello from wherever you are, whether it's morning or night. I just am so blessed and grateful that you're here listening. So thank you. Today I want to share a little bit about something that's provoked a little thought in my head, and it's to do with artificial intelligence. And so just the last 3 days, I work for another company called Heal Thyself, and they are amazing. And we talk about how the body can heal itself naturally. And you've heard me in the other podcasts how I believe, our body is nature. We are nature. We are part of nature. And if we start to step away and move away from the natural force of nature, that's when our body starts to disintegrate. There is this innate intelligence. When you go down to the bottom of the roots of the plants, if you kill the life that's in the soil there's another innate intelligence that we kill that we're trying to replace with our own intelligence. I had that conversation with Charles Massey last week in regards to us trying to dominate nature rather than allowing Mother Nature to do what she does. We're a long way from trying to understand all the tiny little principles that are there. So I was just watching an interesting presentation by Greg Braden, and he shared about how we have, there's a battleness for our humanness. And I agree with that. And it was a very interesting YouTube video, and I'm happy to put a link below in the show notes. And in it, he talked about how recently, artificial intelligence is starting to become a real thing. Apparently, legally in a country, there are some countries where you can marry an AI robot. There are people getting chips in their bodies. You can connect the chip to your, the little tendrils or whatever in your brain, and you can download things. On one aspect, I think technology can align with nature, but to me, this is not an alignment. I really want to articulate this. What we're seeing now, we have stepped away from nature. The human health, we stepped away from nature, having processed foods, putting chemicals on our food, putting chemicals in our body, putting chemicals on our skin, makeup, all the different toxins. Humans are dying of diseases. Our gut microbiome, we killed the life in the soil. I'm reading a book called Eat Dirt, and about 70% of all diseases start in the gut. All of these major diseases can be prevented if we go back to regenerative agriculture, if we go back to nature. And I'm kind of wondering, the biggest question that's going on in my brain right now is, when are we going to learn? Are we just that stubborn that we are trying to dominate or, improve on nature? The presentation that Greg Braden talked about, he said that they can start to manipulate the DNA, take out certain genes, and the first baby was born where they did that. I can understand, on the flip side, I can understand this humanness of wanting to make perfect babies and not have to suffer and not have to have babies that are deformed or not have to have... my belief is, if we are really connected to our humanness, our body does not birth a child, generally speaking, if it's not going to live a reasonable life. Like it can... there's a lot of miscarriages. I didn't know until late in my life that a lot of women have a lot more miscarriages, can have a lot of miscarriages to start with, because the body is, in my opinion, knows that something wasn't right. And so it terminated it. It realized that it wasn't going to work. There's this innate intelligence. Our bodies are masterful, are so intelligent. And so, yeah, I just have this constant conversation in my head. I do see the benefits. Technology, the fact that I'm here in Bali, my whole family is all over the place. I can't move anywhere. So I can actually, communicate with them. There's an aspect of technology that is amazing, but there's also an aspect that's causing us to numb ourselves, causing us to separate ourselves from nature. I feel like we need to unplug for a certain amount of hours a day and go out and connect with nature. Something that Greg Braden said that I really, really aligned with is that as humans, he tells this amazing American Indian story at the end of his video about how American Indians can see there was something that happened, a shift that happened where all of a sudden humans were starting to look outside themselves to find the answers, and we're starting to clutter. There's so much stuff. That's why the minimalism movement is around, because we realize we just have so much stuff that we don't need. And he said that the American Indians know that we can get all the things we're trying to seek outside from us. Whatever it is technology-wise, we can find inside our body. Even the Anastasia books that I talk about a lot. She says, we just don't master our mind. I mean, we all know that we only use about 10% of our brain. That's where we should be beginning. That's where the technology of meditating, of really starting to master our internal systems. Look at Wim Hof, the ability that he has been able to create with his internal system and his body. This is the way, is listening to the capabilities of nature and not trying to plug in. When I see those chips that you can put in your brain or under your skin, I see that as a lower tech. We're going backwards. We have the highest technology on our bodies, and we're trying to connect it with a lower technology. And to me, I just see a dissonance. I just see whatever we're trying to collect from it is limited by the fact that our current consciousness. Whereas it's something that I'm still getting really clear on. But I'm curious to hear what you think. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are in this area. We can talk about genetically modified food that, there's documentation and, hearsay and there's lots of conversations about how it's affecting. It doesn't, the seeds that are born from there don't produce like a normal natural seed. Again, nature moves in a natural succession. It gets more and more abundant. But when we start to play around with it, it actually starts to destroy itself. So we're stepping from the force of nature. And so, I just keep asking, when are we going to learn? Why do we keep trying to dominate? How do we step back and go back into that first principle and observe? And like Charles Massey says, uncuff Mother Nature and let's work with her. Let's see what she's trying to tell us. The abundant lives that we can have with her. I have a theory that something that I've learned from Brooke Castillo is that we have two brains. We have a primal brain and we have the prefrontal cortex. The primal brain has three motives: to avoid pain, seek pleasure, and do whatever's easiest, be more efficient. And if we stay in that primal brain, in this modern society, we will sit in our cave at home, just stare at Netflix. It's easy. You get a bit of pleasure every time you watch it. And it's the easiest thing to do. We'll just order food. At the moment, in some aspects, this COVID-19, that's the easiest thing for us to do. It was like, okay, we'll just sit on Netflix and watch that. But the prefrontal cortex has the ability to look into the future and see, where do I want to be in my life? What do I want? And it can make these intelligent decisions. It can make the decision to read this book to find out more, look at this scientific document, learn more and move forward and plan. And so through Brooke Castillo's work with the Life Coach School, it teaches us to plan. Where do you want to be? And let's plan our days. And she teaches you how to manage that primal brain that's constantly screaming life and death, that's constantly screaming all of these things. And I also feel that there's a level of emotional trauma and ways we've sort of thoughts that we've created in our life, that's why we're seeking the external. In some aspects, it's so much easier to look on the outside and the physical plane to try and solve our problems. And it's much harder to face the demons and the things that are more painful and all of that internally. And that's why as a human race, we're seeking technological answers rather than sitting down and really learning and sitting with Mother Nature. So yeah, that's my little internal conversation that's going on at the moment. I really feel that we could master if we step back and just say, I'm with nature. What is she trying to tell us here? She's trying to tell us to get back to her. Eat more regenerative fruits and vegetables, and you will have a strong immune system and live a healthy life. And being connected with our family and being away from too much technology. I'm not dissing technology, as I said. This is streaming out into your hands all over the world. I wouldn't be able to do this without technology. There's certainly a level. It's just in the hands of whoever. Where is your intention? Could this be solved within whatever's going on for you? And yeah, just step out into nature. So that's my rant, my conversation for this evening or this morning. And I'm wishing you all well. I would love to hear your thoughts on the whole AI, the whole conversation, or anything else that comes up. So head over to the show notes, look for the link that goes to my actual website and comment. Tell me if this provoked anything for you, if you totally disagree, or if something awoken and maybe you've got something to share. I really want to hear from you guys, you my lovely thrivers, because I think together we're better, and that's something I do want to talk more about in the future. Is the next evolution of humanity is community. Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about that. So anyway, my lovely thrivers, have a beautiful week. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, if you enjoyed listening to my podcast, remember to subscribe to hear more. You also have to come check out the Thriving with Nature website, where all of my videos, podcasts, and resources are to take what we discuss here to the next level and apply it in real life. I'd love to have you come join myself and many others striving towards living a regenerative lifestyle. Go to thrivingwithnature.com.